don't make the mistakes I've made. Like, this is coming from my mistakes, okay? I'm going to share a couple things with you that if you do these things, you'll have a great crew. Hey, plumbing pros, welcome to the 466th episode of Potty Talk. I'm your host, as always, Richard Behney, the $1 Million Plumber, along with my co-host, the lovely Laura. Hey, sweetheart.
Hey, baby.
How you doing, baby?
Doing great.
Okay.
Super excited about this one.
Yeah, I thought you'd like this one. And this episode, in fact, the episode title is How to Train Your Plumbing Techs for Success. So training is a process that training techs you've been part of and is a very important part of the process.
100%.
Okay. And so I'm going to give you...
They're your front line.
Yeah, they are, and extremely important. But sadly, we seem to always go about it the wrong way, okay?
We're going to stop that.
We're going to stop you from doing that, okay? Don't make the mistakes I've made. Like, this is coming from my mistakes, okay? I'm going to share a couple things with you that if you'll do these things, you'll have a great crew, okay? Which is ultimately means you're providing the best service to your customers, which leads to you having lots of customers, which leads you to having scaling, being very profitable down the road. So
maybe even take a vacation.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be nice?
All right.
Your phone ringing off the hook.
So you have your business has two main assets. Okay, is your customers, okay, and then your plumbers. Okay, so it's extremely important. We're going to dive into it in just a moment. But I want you to check out. I have something for you to check out here. Check out this business power tool that'll help you grow your plumbing business. Are you looking for a way to show appreciation to your customers? Look no further than To Your Success, the leading gifting service for plumbing businesses nationwide. Imagine this. After every service call, your customers receive a delightful gift like freshly baked cookies right at their doorstep. To Your Success makes it easy to automate this process, ensuring your customers feel valued and appreciated every single time. But it's not just about gifts. It's about creating memorable experiences that shape how your customers feel about your plumbing company. With To Your Success, you can turn every interaction into an opportunity for connection and loyalty. So, if you want to enhance your customers' relationships and stand out in the competitive plumbing market, visit milliondollarplumber.com/cookie today. Join us in making customer appreciation a priority and watch your business thrive. That's milliondollarplumber.com/cookie. Okay. We're talking how to train your plumbing techs for success.
Okay.
So, a lot of times when we just start out, I'm just looking for a warm body. Okay. I mean, just anyone who says they can do plumbing. Okay.
Need help.
And we all been there. Okay. Huge mistake. Okay. First of all, number one, we're going to start off by hiring right. We want to hire the right guy. Okay. We don't want to train the wrong guy.
You want to hire Mr. Right.
We're looking for Mr. Right. Yeah, we are. Okay. And so we always come back to it ain't about plumbing, okay? So if the guy, I'm just going to come out and say it. If the guy says he's a plumber, he's a plumber. Well, you're going to find out on the job, okay?
Pretty darn quick.
Okay, so we don't do that. What I'm really looking for is character. That's what I mean by hiring the right guy, okay? We can train up on plumbing, okay? We get into it, we can decide, okay, how much do I want to train this guy on plumbing, all right? What we can't train is character, okay? Character is extremely important. Having a guy that's going to be able to do what you ask him to do, is going to be able to show up on time, is going to take care of Mrs. Jones, not abuse the property, not abuse your equipment. You got all those kinds of things. Character is the thing. I can tell you time and time, I've hired and fired literally hundreds of guys now in my career. Hundreds. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating.
No, I know you.
Okay. And through it all, the main thing always looking for is character. Okay.
Yes. Oh, you're looking at me to carry on. Character. It's something that, again, you can't train. You can't train it, right? The person has it or not. And so during an interview process, which again, we've talked about this before. We're not talking about interviews, right? Okay. But during the interview process, hopefully you've got someone else that's interviewing the technician first, right? That's not you. And if you're a plumbing power couple and the wife is doing an interview, that's perfect. And again, Mrs. Plumbing business owner, you don't need to know anything about plumbing. You're just going to talk to this technician, ask 5, 6, 7 questions, which in the academy we cover what those questions are. But and just get to a feel for them. And one of the reasons that we like for the plumbing business owner, Mrs. Plumbing business owner.
That's why I wanted you to take over.
Yeah. Okay. You were, wow, that must have read your mind or something. You, because you're a woman, we have a sixth sense. We just do. God gave it to us. You can disagree, well, but you'd be wrong. Because us women do have a sixth sense for whatever reason. We do. We can pick up on what we call on the creep factor. Is this guy a creep? Where you, plumber business owner, never pick up on that. You just don't. It's not a part of your DNA. It's not how God created you. But us women can pick up creeps. I mean, we get a sixth sense about someone, and we're like, well, okay, there's just something off about this guy. And I've actually done that recently, and I was right. Anyway, so that's one of the reasons you want to have the wife doing a quick interview first, just to pick up. Does this guy seem like a decent guy, or does he seem really off? And then we move him on to getting interviewed by you, or if you've got a GM at this point, then handing him off to the GM. But it's great to have a female, and if the wife's not involved in the business, have your CSR interview, something. And now there's things you can do. You can do Zoom interviews and stuff, which is just amazing to me, and kind of weed people out before they ever come into the office.
But definitely, we'll give you a free coaching advice here. It is having a process, even if it's just you in a truck. You're just starting out, just you. Okay, we don't want to have you interviewing, a possible employee. That's what they are, not your buddy. I'm not going to go into that, but having your buddy and all that kind of that's just a recipe for failure. It is a disaster. But it's having a process that feels just like the bigger companies, because a lot of times the concern is. And when we see this, with those in the Success Academy, starting out, why would, it's just me in a truck. I can't get these other guys to track. They don't want to come work for a small company. Well, yeah, they do. I mean, yeah, they will. But if you're acting small and behaving small, like you're talking, you're meeting them on the job site, and talking about the job, and here's what, that's totally unprofessional.
Right.
Okay. You want to have a process like the big companies. So the big companies have where you're interviewed a couple times. Okay. And as Laura, as you strongly suggest, works, is have someone other than you do the first interview. And especially, we'd like, be a woman, female, whatever, because of that sixth sense thing. And again, you don't have to ask, the questions on, it's not about asking about plumbing, but just getting a feel for who they are. And so you're picking up, what's this person's character like?
Right.
Okay. And even by the time it got to me, okay, I didn't ask plumbing questions. Like the only plumbing question I asked, and I'll give this to you, all the years, the only plumbing question I asked is, what plumbing don't you like to do? And again, that was a character play. I wanted to see, then all of a sudden they let their hair down. Well, I just won't do drain work.
Yep.
Well, if they're going to tell me in that manner, well, I just don't do this.
In an interview.
Well, that's the honeymoon. This is as good as it gets. Like, it's not even the honeymoon.
No, it's the courtship.
It's the courting, He's blowing in my ear, whatever, okay? If he's whispering, I don't do, not even whispering, he's telling me.
I ain't doing drain work.
I ain't doing drain work. There's a character issue there.
Yes.
Okay. But I just would find out, well, I'm uncomfortable with, water softeners. I just never really got it, learned and that kind of, that kind of thing. Okay. I can tell what you're going to need. Okay,
right.
where they're at.
But if they start spouting off what they will and won't do in an interview.
But I never asked plumbing questions. It was always about the character. How do they react? And so much so, I'll give you this one.
I know. I was going to say, this was my favorite thing you used to do in interviews.
So I'd ask, so if you could live at a different time period, what time period would that be, and what would you do? That always caught them off guard, because they're expecting, I'm applying for a plumber job here.
Right.
What's that have to do with plumbing? Nothing. I just wanted to see how they behave being hit in left fields, like you're in a customer situation that's going south, or a customer goes weird on you, or upset, or whatever.
Or just out of the norm.
Out of the norm. How do I react? Okay, and then what am I going to say? Right. And so even their answer can be, not so much answers matters, but it could be, the fact that
unless they said like, oh, in the 60s, and I'd love to have been a part of that Charlie Manson group.
Exactly.
That would be a wrong answer.
But it was just fun. You want to get a feel for their. You still?
I got I've got a stool under my feet.
Okay.
It keeps moving. Sorry.
So you want to get a feel for who they are, character-wise. Plumbing, again, if they're applying for a plumbing job, it's just assume they have plumbing. So a big mistake we make is we run them through, this plumbing, that, you got this, what would you do here, it's all, okay, it doesn't matter, okay, we'll get them on the training, we'll get them a job, we'll find out what they do and do not know, okay, the important point right out of the bat is, hiring the right guy. And the right guy is the guy with character.
Yeah.
Assume they have the plumbing. Okay, especially if you're looking at it, I worked at Roto-Rooter, and I worked at J&J Plumbing, and I worked at blah, 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 whatever, okay. And what they did, okay, they know plumbing. Okay, we're going to find out really how much they know.
Right.
All right?
And how good they are.
But what we don't know is the character. And the character we can't change. Okay, nor do you want it to. These are grown men. You don't want to get into trying to raise them up and teach them a better way. If they're you know, whatever the character flaw is, you don't want to have to deal with that.
Right.
Okay? So character matters, okay? You want to hire the right guy. Okay, not the wrong guy, and train him.
I think you should change it to looking for Mr. Right.
Looking for Mr. Right. It just sounds kind
And
of.
you guys probably wouldn't click on it. So
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was number one. All right, let's move on here.
Well, you got a note here. You can't polish a turd and call it a technician.
Yeah, I was just saying, I was just saying, right. I like to play on the words. Turd and technician start with T. And so I was like, it's the old thing, you know, it's crap, it's crap. Okay, you can't, you know,
Can't put lipstick on a pig.
You can't put lipstick on a pig. And so I just did the plumbing thing. You know, you can't polish a turd, you know, call it technician.
Yep.
Okay. So, and I mean, you can train up, you know, but you can't polish. I mean, that's a character thing.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Hire on character.
So there we
Okay.
go. I was debating on whether I was going to.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
it's all on the notes.
Okay.
So you don't want to miss that golden nugget.
That's a takeaway from this episode. Okay. You can't polish a turd and call it a technician. Okay. That's $1 million plumber.
That's right. Take it to the bank.
All right. Number 2. Yes. Okay. Let's get at it here. Okay. Ditch the ride along. Okay. The ride alongs. Train with a real system. Okay. Another big problem we make is we bring the guy on, then we have him, you know, we ride with him. He rides with us, you know, for months.
Yeah. And he's just now your buddy and your helper.
Right.
That's what's happening.
That's what he's become. Okay. There's a definite system. You get him in his own truck. Okay. And out in a week. Okay. You don't, it's just, but you got to have the system in place. Okay. You got to systemize that. All right. And every day, you know, you start on a Monday. Don't start on a Wednesday. That's another thing. You know, it's like, well, start Thursday. No, start on Monday. Real businesses start on a Monday. Okay.
Yep.
On the work week. Okay. Start on a, you know, so it's Monday.
A rhythm.
It's right. Exactly. That's a better way to put it. It's a rhythm. Right. All right.
Life.
So, you know, starting on a Monday, and he's in his own truck, you know, going solo by Friday afternoon, you know, and then you cut him loose. Now, he may not be perfect on everything, which doesn't matter. You need that truck making money, okay? In fact, you're hurting. The more you ride along with him and have him ride with other people and all that, he's just becoming a helper,
Right.
okay? In his mind, especially if his character's lowered, you know, and he's just getting comfortable. He's getting paid, just kind of riding along, doing whatever, doesn't have any responsibility, and then he sets down. If you actually have a good guy doing that, it's going to chase him away, okay?
Oh, yeah.
They're going to want, because they don't want to be riding with other guys. And,
Right. And whoever is doing the ride along, and they're going to milk that for everything they can get. If they've got somebody that they're now treating as their helper, they're going to milk that for as long as possible. Oh no, he needs to keep riding with me. He's got some more training to do or whatever. That typically is not the case. More than likely, it's that your plumber just wants to have a helper and a gopher.
Exactly. And when I'm going back to that week, by just saying it's just a week, and that's what we train in the Success Academy. We have a system. It's just a week, and the guys it's great. Okay, and you move and you start making money. There's still a system with that. There's a training process for that week, okay? You know, not having any kind of, you know, system, you know, you can't get anything consistent. You're not putting out a consistent product to your customers, okay? Which then, you know, then if it's inconsistent, your customer trust is going to go by the wayside, and, you know, all goes down to your bottom line, your profits, right? Okay? So it's not that, even though it's short, you know, it's a week, okay, there's a system for training that technician. And so that's a lot better than having, you know, him ride along with your guys and just kind of be around for a month.
Right.
Okay. There's no system there. He's not picking anything up.
Right. One thing I want to say too, is doing what we call happy calls, is going to give you information about how good and how well your plumber, is following your training. I don't know if this is necessarily the right spot to talk about that, but I had the thought. And happy calls are for your CSR, whoever's answering the phone, to call the customer right after the work is done, right after, Joe technician leaves, the job's closed out, you're calling right away. And hi, Mrs. Jones, looks like, our technician Joe was just out there and just wanted to follow up and make sure that everything was done to your satisfaction. And just want to see what your experience was like. More than likely, they're going to say, oh, everything was great, everything's fine, yada, yada. But you are going to find out well, he kind of was a jerk, or he didn't listen to me, or he didn't seem to be confident, or he couldn't figure out the tablet, or whatever it might be. You're going to learn a lot of information from those happy calls, and those happy calls are free to do. And so what you also want to make sure, if your CSR is doing that, is to just don't let that information then live with the CSR. There needs to be a system in your company that you get that information, so that if we constantly are hearing about Joe, who is not very nice, or he's a big jerk, or whatever it might be, and you missed the character thing, or is he going through some issues at home? I mean, typically Joe's pretty good. Typically Joe's all right. So what's going on? This whole week his happy calls have been not so happy. So what's going on? So you're going to pull Joe in, and he may say, man, my kid's been sick and we haven't gotten any sleep, or whatever it might be. But the happy calls are going to give you a lot of information, because you're not in the truck with them, and you more than likely don't have, like police have, what do you call the body cams and stuff, right. Which maybe that might be a good idea for plumbers to have body cams. But you don't have that information. So happy calls are going to give you a lot of information to determine, man, did I miss it on character, or is this guy, is he someone that really fits within our culture and character?
Well, that's a good point in my third point, and that's the culture trains your crew every day. So the culture you have trains your crew every day.
Oh, that's good.
So if you're part of that, if part of your culture is doing happy calls, okay, and then responding to it and have the systems in place to respond to it and do it, part of that, okay, you're training up your crew, okay?
Yes.
All right. So and part of that, so where I was going to go, that's an important part of it. But part of the culture I'm talking about is like having Monday morning meetings. Okay, using the Monday morning meeting. Your Monday morning meeting isn't where you go through all the problems and all that. It's hitting your, what I call your non-negotiables. Okay, your 3 to 5 things that you always go over. This is what we do. Okay, it's part of who we are. It's your culture. This is what we do. So in the MDP world, it's options, options, options.
Did you provide options to your customer?
For 18 years.
At Attaboy Plumbing.
At Attaboy Plumbing, every Monday morning, we were going over options. For 18 years. Now,
that was important, because that was to you. That was the non-negotiable. Right, that we're making sure.
It was part of our culture. It was part of what we did. It's part of how we provide our service. It was our system, and it's even part of what we call the service sales system.
In success.
Right, where it's, you don't have to have special selling, techniques or whatever. It's just systemized, okay? Part of it's giving the customer options, choices, right. Okay? So it was a very important part of our process, okay, in our culture. So we're going over things like that. The other part of our culture was always clean and stock the trucks, okay? When I say this is non-negotiable, this also kind of leans into the leadership side. As the plumbing business owner, you can't be on the guys on every little thing and everything. It doesn't resonate. After a while, it's like the boy who cried wolf, and he's always uptight.
Or your Charlie Brown's teacher.
Right, wah 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 wah. Right, all the time. That's all they hear. So it's 3 to 5 things that no matter what, this is who we are. This is what we do.
And those come from you, right? Business owner. They come from you. You get to determine. Again, I say it all the time. You're not answering to anybody. This business can be whatever you want it to be. Right. It doesn't matter. You can have one plumbing company may have 3 non-negotiables, and another plumbing company has 3 totally different non-negotiables. Doesn't matter. You're the one that gets to decide. But when you decide and you say these are the non-negotiables, then they need to be non-negotiables. Just like if you got kids, if you tell your kids don't do this or you're going to get this consequence, and you don't follow through, then you're just full of hot air. And the kids know that. Again, if you got kids, you know it. I mean, you give them an inch, by golly, they're going to take 15 miles, right? So if you say, if you do this, this is the consequence, spanking or, whatever, taking your phone or whatever it might be, then by golly, you've got to make sure that you do it, or they don't trust you.
And your plumbers are worse than kids. If those have been around, the plumbers are worse than kids, because they're grown adult men who should know better, but they're just going to push it or whatever. I mean, you'll see your kids, you'll be surprised. Our kids are better than my plumbers.
You can't spank your plumbers.
Right, you can't.
Spank your kids. By golly, spank your kids.
you take them out back and anyways there. But the culture is, extremely important. Again, it's not about plumbing. No, this isn't about plumbing. Now, of course, we're going to train. You'll have special times where you bring vendors in and we'll train on your special equipment, that kind of stuff. And you can do that kind of thing. That's a good thing to do for your guys. It's, just kind of, feed into them, and training, and the guys will appreciate that. Won't achieve any more loyalty, anything like that, but it's just a good thing. But we're going back to character, okay, and culture, okay? And, with Attaboy, it was very important, and I stress this too in the academy, of having a culture of responsibility. That your techs are responsible for everything. Okay, when I mean everything, the techs are responsible for everything. Okay, so keeping the stock truck, the truck stocked. Not that the wanding system, okay, well, the wanding system don't work. No, you're responsible to have those trucks. Okay, getting permits, getting the whole thing. The job goes south. I mean, whatever, the job is yours. That was one of my sayings. No one's coming in here to save you. You're the 101st Airborne. Okay. We're dropping you in, and you got to fight your way out. Nobody's coming to save you. Okay, it's important to create that kind of culture because then the guys will work. You're not babysitting. Okay, as soon as the guys feel like, okay, it's someone else's fault, whatever, it's this or that or whatever, they just don't do it. Okay, but you can train that, okay, in your expectations and your non-negotiables. And I'm going to tell the story when I knew that I had it. And then I can tell you it doesn't matter. It ain't about plumbing or the tech skill. I had an average tech. This was a C+ tech at best.
Okay.
C+ tech. Okay. All right. He's on a job on Friday. Okay. It's Friday afternoon. He's doing a water bore job. Now with Attaboy Plumbing, we subbed out our water bores. Okay. We got guys like that. Piece rate, we get in that because he got all the money for that, but he didn't do the work. But he's responsible for the job. Okay. So he's out. He's getting paid for that job where our sub's there, and he's out doing another job. And he gets a call from the sub. They're all panicked because there's a boring coming across the yard. They got hung up in the other water lines, and they ripped the water lines out from the other part of the house. So there's no water in the house. Bad situation. Friday afternoon, customer has no water. We don't work nights and weekends, okay? But this technician, because of our culture that I created, that you're responsible. You're responsible. The guys never got off the hook. I fired guys. I get the question on, well, I got a plumber here. He's our top plumber. He makes all the money and all that, but he won't do this and do that. Fire his ass.
It's a prima donna.
You got to fire. You got to, okay, hire on character. Okay, don't get sucked in. Don't be held hostage to anybody. Okay, and so I fired guys that were good plumbers, but they were prima donnas. Okay, wouldn't do, I'm not going to do this, whatever. Okay, so, but this guy, C+ plumber. Okay, so Friday afternoon, okay, he winds up using, with our guys, we had the MG cards where they could pay for the gas and the credit card. Okay, he talked to the customer, which was upset. Okay, by the way, I didn't know about this until Saturday evening or whatever, late Saturday afternoon or evening or whatever. So he didn't call in the office. What do I do? He talked to the customer, picked the customer up in a hotel, paid for dinner too, okay? Made the command decision to do that. Not in a cheap-ass hotel either. Not on the side of the highway.
Was it the Four Seasons?
Right. Wasn't that, okay? And then talked with the sub, and they came back.
Saturday.
On Saturday, worked late Friday, came back on Saturday, and got it taken care of. And that's when I found out about it. That's
right. Because he was responsible.
Right.
And if you don't create that culture, here's what's going to happen. You're going to get that phone call. And the tech's like, well, look what happened. So now what do I do?
Right.
Well, now what do I do? What do I do? And you're going to get that phone call when you're on vacation.
Yep.
You're going to get that phone call, if you're still working nights and weekends, which you shouldn't, but you're going to get the phone call on the weekend because they can't think for themselves. You've not given them the freedom or given them the marching orders. That's not the word I want to use, but to let them know, no, this is your job and you're responsible. If you are constantly answering the phones from your technicians on, well, how do I price this job? Or how do I do this? Or where do I get a part for this? Or who do I call to, have remediation done or whatever it might be.
That's crazy.
What kind of life is that? I mean, you're hiring these technicians so that you can be out of the truck working on your business, but instead you're fielding all these phone calls that's probably making you crazy, probably making your wife crazy, and it doesn't create this sense of the guys are responsible for their job. They're responsible for what goes on.
Right. It's not only possible, it's the way it should be. Okay. And it can be that way when you hire the right guy. You look for Mr. Right, not on plumbing. Okay, hire the right guy on character. Okay, train him up. Okay, not an ongoing just out there. Training is not just he's out there doing jobs with other guys. Okay, it's having a system that trains. Okay, who are we and what are we about and how do we do it? You can get that done in a week. Okay, and then you cut them loose. Okay, and when we're out there, your culture is consistently training on how you follow up on things and what you discuss. Okay, and what you don't allow. So part of the culture thing I mentioned, the big thing was options. Okay, which means we should never get a service call fee. So if we ever got a service call fee, we didn't wait till the Monday morning meeting and talk with the guys, or when we saw them when they came in. We were on them right then.
I mean, you walked away from a job that they didn't do the work.
They didn't do the work, okay? Because there's a process in that works, 97.8% of the time if you do the process. Well, if we went through this, the odds, we didn't see something. They didn't do the process. So they they got the service call fee and walking. Hey, Joe, what the heck, man? What's going on? We are on it right then. That's part of the culture. If you have a lazy culture, or our culture is all about plumbing, then then you're just going to be a bunch of guys doing plumbing.
Right.
Instead of you having this asset that's making for you and your family, creating wealth, financial wealth, time wealth. Okay.
Yep.
And a life that's very fun to live.
Yes. And much nicer, easier.
Yes.
Yes. Again, not feeling all the phone calls and whatever. So.
And it can be. And I'll leave this one. Here's a bonus point here.
Oh.
Okay. One of the, it said, there just aren't any good guys out there. That's a lie. There's never been good guys out there. Never. In 40 years. I've been in this plumbing for 40 years. There's never been enough guys. There's never been enough guys. And I know I'm going to be silly. There's never been enough guys. All right. That's just a weak ass excuse. Okay. Recruit. You're always recruiting. Okay. You've heard us say it before. Okay. That you're not a plumbing business. Okay. You're a marketing company and you're a recruiting company. Okay. You're always looking for Mr. Right. I mean, you're going to hire, but you're always looking for Mr. Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. So there we go. A little bit of passion there. I feel that. I was so sad. I see, I feel, we've seen it.
Help us help you.
Can you feel it? I feel that, right? We have new ones in the academy. Okay. And they get this and they're all excited and they'll do these things and get it. Then how many times have we heard, oh, Richard, I didn't listen to you. I lost my good guys and I haven't been recruiting. And now I'm, set me back because I'm back in it. Right. Okay. No, recruit.
Yes.
Okay.
So speaking of the academy, if you want to learn more, or actually, how about not even the academy? We've got a great new resource for you. It's a brand spanking new, out on the platform called School, SKOOL. And we've got all great free information. Our school group is free. We have some free training out there. We've got a community of other plumbing business owners who are looking to advance and grow and scale their plumbing business, not just be a butt crack plumber not just be about crack plumber. So School, if you go to milliondollarplumber.com/school, SKOOL, just click on the link that says join now and join for free.
Get free training there.
Be part of the MDP community. I'd love to have you.
But if you're just ready to get at it, okay, you're tired of messing around here. You're ready. You got this. You can feel it. Okay, and you're ready to go. Then I'm ready to talk. Okay, so let's have a conversation. You can schedule your talk with, go to milliondollarplumber.com/call.
Right.
There we go.
milliondollarplumber.com.
milliondollarplumber.com.
But there's a link somewhere here, wherever you're listening, watching. There's a link somewhere for both of those. So, all right, there we go.
How to train your plumbing techs for success. It's simple. Not necessarily always easy, like everything, but it's simple. Okay. Start by hiring Mr. Right. Okay. All right. Ditch the ride along. Systemize your training. All you need is a week. And then your culture continues the training. Okay? So do it. There we go. Hey, it was good spending some time with you again. All right? It's good having you around. Look forward to seeing you again here in the near future. All right? Until then, I want to remind you, as always, that you were purposefully and wonderfully created. You were created to do great things. Plumb like a champion.
Bye, everybody.